I'm gonna make you a co-host, Paulette, so that you can
Okay.
also, and I'm gonna get rid of the chat. There you go. All right. Spotlight Marlene. There you go.
I'm too tall.
Oh, here. I'm sorry.
Well, usually I'm short, so. Yeah. Okay,
It's good.
the Big Bazaar is coming October 25th and 26th in Hopkins at the Eisenhower High School
Community center.
Community Center. Okay, we are gonna have a booth for UMBS to promote the society. Plus, we have miscellaneous items for sale, so we need volunteers to man the booth. And the shows start at 10 a.m. every day. And you get into the show free if you volunteer to work for UMBS. I've scheduled people for 2-hour shifts, so once you do your 2-hour shift, you can go shopping. And I guess the afternoon, it doesn't come out even for 2 hours, so it's 2 to 5, but usually by 4 o'clock, the show is pretty slow, so you probably wouldn't really need a whole bunch of people that shift. 1 or 2 would be fine. I'd like to have 3 people each shift, just to not have one person doing all the work. And then we are also going to do make and take classes. And we need teachers to volunteer their time. We will make sure or try to get you the supplies you need for the class. We've made stretchy bracelets before, we made snowflakes, we've made earrings, so if you wanna help people learn how to bead and you wanna step up and teach a class, I've scheduled the classes starting at 10:30 so that people have time to get in the show at 10 o'clock and maybe sit down and see what they need to do. And so the shifts, I've allotted an hour, but if you need more than an hour, I'd be glad to give you more time. Just let me know how much time you think you need for the class you want to teach, and
Or if they want to repeat it.
or if they want to repeat it or stay there more than just an hour every day. So, but I'll need people both days, Saturday and Sunday, starting at 10:30 for classes. And we figure if we finish by 3:30, that's, enough. So.
We had
just
a
keep it-
lot of people last year.
Yeah, and we had a lot of
Mhm.
people. The people loved the snowflakes that we were doing. And so if you can step up and help, we would really appreciate it. So just think about something that you could teach in an hour or so. Some basic things would be fine, some not too difficult, because some people are brand new and they might find it too difficult. So, but if you can find something basic to teach, we'd love it. So thank you.
Is one of the tables gonna be the peace ring, just constantly rings all weekend?
Okay, we can do that. And those are pretty easy, and we will have
'Cause you-
patterns printed out.
Cause
for
it'd be
people.
the peace chain, it'd be daisy chain, peyote, we could make all kinds of them, so
Yeah.
then we would need somebody to volunteer throughout the weekend, just helping people
Right.
make all of
Yeah.
that kind of
Well, you
stuff.
could be
too.
connecting them up too.
And we can
Yeah, we can
connect it up.
connecting them, yep,
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
wouldn't it?
Okay, thank you.
Super, oh my gosh, so much fun. All right,
I just want to make one. quick-
Jen, here, let's just move the
Or
camera.
we could just spotlight me.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, you've got your own camera.
I got my own camera. Okay, oh, wait a minute.
You can't turn your volume on, sweetie.
Right. Can you hear me?
Hear you great.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention that at the bead retreat that just finished on Sunday, we had asked people to donate to the mattress fund for Camp Wapple.
Yeah, they.
And we collected $425.
No.
And then UMBS matched that, so we gave them a check for $850, which is very cool. And in the next bead retreat, this was really fun. We had some people that hadn't been there before, including Sue is back here. It was really a lot of fun. So I want you to plan on going to the spring retreat, and I just lost the date for it, but it'll be on the website. So the spring retreat, you can come, any of the days. We start at Wednesday at about 1 o'clock and we go through about 1 o'clock on Sunday. You can do any combination of days. You can do a day tripper. And the mattresses are starting to be improved mattresses, so, which is great.
Yeah,
So that's it.
that's super.
All right. Off to Hannah.
All right, off to Hannah. You are muted. We're gonna spotlight you. But you're still muted.
How's that sound?
Better.
So first of all, the bead retreat for March is the weekend of the 18th. So that is when you should, I think that's when it is the weekend of the 18th. So you should go because they're really fun. And the second thing is that we've got a couple of people coming up and speaking to us. I'll talk a little bit about our upcoming meetings, and then I think Rochelle will talk about our Let's Be Lives. The next person that we have coming up in October is my friend Terry Henry. Terry combines wire wrapping and electroforming and lamp working and makes these fabulous pieces. So let me go ahead and show you a couple of her pieces.
Oh, wow.
So she's going to come and talk about basically multimedia. So let me stop that one. And I've got another one of her electroformed pieces. Oh, that's not it. Wait a minute. Sorry. So Terry will be speaking to us on October 6th for our next members only meeting. And Rochelle, do you want to talk about our Let's Be Lives?
I do, and we're so darn excited. Sorry. Oh, come on, website. Why are you doing this to me? Search, there we go. Why do I have no internet on my phone? Come on, there we go. It's just slow poke. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by the fox. I can't deny. You give me 5 seconds to bead, and that's what I'm gonna do. Because I never get to bead anymore. And so.
Diana, she's making dinner.
Diane, are you making dinner for us?
Wandering around the kitchen.
She is. So our Let's Be Live, you've already heard about Becky Pancake. Remember, that's September 27th. And then on October 18th, we have in person at Dakota Stones. We are going to Dakota Stones in Edina. And so that's their new location. If you haven't been there yet, there'll be a tour. We'll have a sale so that we'll be able to, and then they'll have some fun special projects for us all. So you'll learn all kinds of things about rocks and a fun little rock art project, jewelry project, and then you'll be able to shop their wholesale showroom, and our Upper Midwest Bead Society will be able to have some really great prices there. So we have 2 in-person things going on before we even get to the bead bazaar. So we have so much fun in October. There's 3 in-person events. So for our November, of course, it is our zipper project, and that is a really fun tassel pendant. And then on December 13th will be Maggie Thompson, and she's going to be doing our Let's Be Live, and it'll be a fun little project, ornament project as well. So put it all on your calendar. Saturday, October 18th, Saturday, November 15th, and the 13th. And remember, it's at 11 a.m. now, so that means everybody can hopefully do more than one thing in a day. And so we also have our fundraiser going on, coming up in November. So how much more do we need for our fundraiser, Hannah? We're looking more for books and for kits and things like that, right?
I think we have a wonderful, wonderful set of donations coming up this year already. If you are interested in participating, we still do love seeing books and we love seeing kits, but we have finished stuff. We have lots and lots. We have thousands of crystals. We have just wonderful things this year. So please, in November, up on the website pretty shortly for you guys. Tell your friends about it, tell your neighbors about it, tell everybody to tune in. We will be starting that fundraiser with a live event on the 10th where Rochelle and I will just look at things and talk about how cool they are, and then we will open for silent. I think it's going to be buy it now only. I don't think we're going to do bids. So
Yeah, I think it's all buy it now. But the really nice thing about our fundraiser this year, that the Upper Midwest Bead Society has voted so that our fundraiser proceeds for that online auction will all go to the Peace Chain Project. And so we're trying to raise money so that we can have enough beads for everybody to do. That if they want to do it, and also hopefully to get Guinness World Records so that we can, get our official 1 mile of the longest peace chain in the world. So we really do appreciate all your help, whether it's donating to our fundraiser or participating by purchasing something in our fundraiser. And so we're really excited. So we're sending out letters to everybody around the globe that we know, bead societies, and hopefully they want to donate as well. So if you know somebody that wants to donate, give them our address, our website, so we can get our stuff contact as well. So you don't have to be a member to donate or participate. So that's the fun thing about our fundraiser.
What's that? It's on the 10th.
It's in November 10th. So if you're bringing anything, you can bring it to the November meeting. You can bring it to the bead bazaar, or you could bring it, we're always around at Lotus Beads and Jewelry. So, you can always come down there as well. I think that's all the announcements. Are there any other announcements?
It's a lot.
I know, holy moly, we have so much going on, and we would like to get to our amazing show for the night, which is by our very own Hannah Rosner.
now I
Yes.
write it.
She
I
did.
borrowed this from the National Button Society. They've written it. So I do want everybody to know that, because here's the important thing is that really I don't know much more than it's in this presentation about buttons. So if you guys have any questions about it, then ask Doris and ask Diane. They both know much more than I do. And also in January, the president of the National Button Society, his name is Vicki McTavish, is going to be speaking to us. So if you have questions, write them down. Also in November, before I get going here, Cynthia Rutledge will be our featured speaker. So without any further ado, Doris, can you just say that you said something about the
Yeah, just in case you guys didn't know it, one of our members is the vice president of the Minnesota Button Society.
not know that.
And they have 2 button buys that are open to the public every year. And the next one happens to be on October 18th. So I don't get to go to Dakota because I'll be at the button buy selling buttons.
So, and
Did we-
and then she refused to talk to us. So we would love to have her. If you could ever convince her to do it. We would love to have her.
Nancy.
But until then, we'll be jealous and send you our wish list for the 18th, Doris. You could shop for us.
Check buttons, thank you.
All right. Oh my God.
So this presentation, can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes.
You guys can hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
just fine.
Great. So this presentation, you guys should, why am I, there we go. This presentation, once again, has been done by the National Button Society, and they have asked that we just let you guys know that they're the ones who wrote it. It is nationalbuttonsociety.org. And they are a wonderful, wonderful group. They're just really kind. And once again, Vicki, their president, will be speaking to us in January. So we're really excited about that. So this presentation starts out with this wonderful painting, which is by Vanderhelst. And it shows so many buttons in here. It's a wonderful example of the Dutch Golden Age. And I'm gonna really, I know that Rochelle told me how to say this right, but it's from the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, I think. Is that right? And there are a whole bunch of just really wonderful details in here. So let me show you some of the details of them, all of them, of course, because this is a button presentation, our buttons. So here's the first one, look at that. Here's, look at these buttons and the ties. Rochelle and I were looking at this earlier, and we were laughing at his sort of floppy socks. And that's because at this point, knitting had not yet been invented. So there wasn't the stretchiness. So you had to hold them up with ribbons, which has nothing to do with buttons, but I thought that was cool. Here's some more buttons. So you won't believe how many buttons are in this painting. 182. There are 182 buttons in this painting. Amazing, right? Buttons are so common and disregarded that collectors are often asked why they collect them. And I think that with Diane's pictures, we've already seen why they can be collected with beadwork. And of course, Doris has an extraordinary collection of buttons that I bet you can buy from her. Here is one other reason, though. Reasons include a love of history, art, craft, miniatures, costume designs. Some collectors have found their way to buttons from an old tin of buttons that they found or inherited and were curious about them. Buttons are from all across the world. And we don't think much about them unless we lose one, especially in the middle of a fancy event. No one cries over a lost button like they do over spilt milk. Over 60% of the world's button supply, however, comes from a single city, apparently, in China, which I'm going to spell because I can't say, Qiaotou. Over the centuries, buttons have been made across the world. So you're looking at world history and world art. They were made by the greatest craftsmen of their time, and also the very simplest craftsmen. At some time, they displayed as symbols of wealth and position and self-expression. We'll be looking at some of these. They were at some points considered some of the finest jewelry, so they weren't just craft like they're seen now. Great care was taken to make sure these buttons were not lost, and they were passed down through generations. And before there was such thing as fast fashion, buttons and clothing was remade and updated every year. The fact that there's so many old ones and that they've lasted throughout generations and to this day is a testament to this fact. Let's talk about English first. Here's some enamel buttons. English made all kinds of buttons. They're called Bristol or Battersea enamels, depending on where they were made. And they are painted, and you can see that they are some of the finest miniatures. A lot of these were started actually in France, and then they went over to England. Here's some 18th or 1800s, 19th century Birmingham trade buttons. Birmingham was a great center for the button production of the 19th century. These guys a lot of times don't have the maker's mark, and so there's not really a way of knowing exactly when they were made. Here's France. We talked about miniatures and painting already very quickly, but take a look at this. There's absolutely no way to overstate the contribution France made in elevating the button from craft to fine art. I mean, this is a painting. Especially 18th century Paris, the French advanced and invented decorative techniques for buttons, and of course they also invented haute couture. This group of old buttons represents a variety of materials and techniques. So here's a whole bunch of different ones. Look how pretty that is. There's some French shell and metal buttons. And the Czech Republic. Of course, we know about that. Czech Republic is, of course, still known for their excellence in glass work. And if you go, it's May, I believe, if you go with Doris, you might see some of these. The buttons in this first group are teak, and they are referred to as lacy glass. They're usually made of clear glass with a finely stippled surface design. And the backs are painted with color or silver and gold and then covered with black paint. Here's some more modern ones. And I own a couple of these buttons. That's kind of fun to see them in this presentation and also to own some of them. Italy. These are called micro mosaics. Look how fabulous these are. These are tiny little pieces. Romans were making glass and enamel buttons for centuries, but in the 18th century to the middle of the 19th century, a renewed interest in button making in Italy produced some wonderful expressions. This was an outgrowth of the Grand Tour, a virtual educational rite of passage for British young men of noble and wealthy means, which Italy, in a study of its classics, were key destination and purpose. Buttons were precious tokens and keepsakes, so they would go and they would get them and bring them back for themselves and for gifts. So, of course, mosaic work goes all the way back to Roman times, and you can see that these tiny little, I'm sure they look a lot bigger on the screen there than they are in person, but I'm betting that I think that's the Pantheon to the left there. I always get the Pantheon and the Parthenon confused, but the Pantheon, I'm sure that button is only about a half an inch in real life. Here's a lava cameo. And what's called a Dura. Japan. Japan, of course, has these beautiful cloisonne. It's mainly an outgrowth of Western tourism in the 19th century, because really Japan didn't really have buttons on their kimono. So in 1868, Japan finally opened itself to Western influence and travel since the early 17th century. And while traditional dress in Japan had little use for buttons except to keep your purse on, they recognized an opportunity in making them for Western tourists. So traditional Japanese arts, hundreds of thousands of years old, hundreds, were applied to buttons like this cloisonne. First group, once again, is cloisonne. They're called Jinbari enamel technique. There's some shakudo. And satsuba. When Rochelle and I looked at this picture earlier, we just really loved the fact that these were on really fun cards. And we wish that, you know, buttons now come on cards, but they're just not fun like this. So here's some vintage pearl and mother of pearl button cards that we just thought were really, really fun to look at. I'm suspecting these are from like the 40s and 50s based on the design work on them. Here's some vintage Navajo silver and turquoise buttons. And I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say with this. I have this little, I don't know if you can see this, I've got this little cheat sheet, but that's way too small. Whatever it says about these is way too small for my old eyes. I'm sorry. So buttons teach us history, both social and cultural, political, art, and fashion. And we've talked a little bit about these throughout the whole thing, but the nice thing about this is that, you know, you've got this tiny little thing that is part of history that you can hold in your hand. For instance, cut steel accessories were the rage in the 1700s. And so given steel's ability to replicate the sparkling effects of cut diamonds and precious metals, you see that in the buttons of the time. One can say that the French turned love into an art form. So here's a little bit of romanticism that is put into buttons. The large button is a painting on ivory, and it probably commemorates the couple's wedding. It's apparently signed CF and dated to 1697. The other three are what are called rebus buttons, and they were used as discreet declarations of love, and when worn, they could convey an initial attraction or publicize a match. And a lot of times they were paired together with a little bouquet of flowers, because at that time, whatever you were wearing, the flowers had meaning. In the past, as well as today, memorializing lost loved ones was often done through personal adornment. But unique to the past, buttons that were created and worn for the time of mourning are shown in this picture. The three buttons on the left are from the 18th century and depict common visual themes for mourning buttons. So on the left is a silver copper etched with an urn. The button to the right is also copper with painted ivory. And the third is a shell under glass with hair. And painted leaves to form a wreath and bouquet. And speaking of hair, those ones on the right, can you see that they're actually plaited hair from a loved one? That's very common in mourning jewelry. Mourning, M-O-U-R, not mourning as in the morning. Here's some fancy pants buttons that show status and wealth. These, of course, have jewels in them. Nowadays, you know, these are mainly pieces of glass, but back then they were actual real jewels. And here's a few that depict heralds and crests. So they're family and status buttons for military, for family crests. So they're really showing off here. You know, nowadays you look at buttons and they're just like used to button your shirt. They're not really, but each one of these individual ones was really a little work of art. Here's some sporting buttons. You can see, you know, the all the different animals that you hunt and the riders. Here's US button. Long live the president, it says. It's kind of fun. Some more US. So the copper button in the middle is considered one of the most revered American buttons. The ones that said long live the president. You see it says George Washington in the middle. And then those are actually the first 13 colonies. This is one of an extremely rare set of what is thought to total 27 designs that were issued and worn by significant attendees of George Washington's inaugural ceremony. When the first collection of political and presidential Americana went for auction in 2018, this button sold for $225,000. And that's kind of fun. There's a Liberty Locket button with your picture in it. Here's some French Revolution buttons that were made a century later to commemorate it. They're favorites for some collectors. And of course, fashion design. Let's talk a little bit about that. Look at this. These buttons are part of a women's stomacher, which was basically part of the corset from 1760. And do you see how the buttons here are actually really just part of the design? They are not in addition to a design. They're not slapped on or later. They are absolutely part of the design here. This is just a gorgeous representation of some gold work, which of course is what I'm enjoying really in doing these days. Here's some more where the buttons are embroidered in the same style as the waistcoat. I love this time period because, you know, the men's fashion was as fancy as the women's. And actually men had higher heels at this time, which I thought was kind of fun. You know, this is all silk embroidery, including those buttons, which were absolutely part of the design. Here's a women's riding. I think that's the Virginia and Albert Museum, the V&A. So that would be in London. But this women's riding coat, can you see this? I mean, the buttons are absolutely part of design here. I can't imagine riding a horse in this. I mean, you know, you'd have someone else bring your horse up to you and do all the grunt work and all the dirty work. And then you would just get on it and you would ride across the field with your bugle and your hounds. These buttons are steel cut around a center of a mother of pearl. And when Rochelle and I were looking at this earlier, we think that the way that this is done is that there's a hole in the center and then it's riveted. So the shank is probably part of, do you see that dot in the center? We think that probably is the front of a rivet, and it probably goes through that mother of pearl, through probably like a bead, then it's got the steel behind it, and then probably that makes up the shank. At least that's what we thought. So as the ages progress, buttons lose their significance as other displays of status replace them. And in more modern times, the couture houses in Paris took care in choosing their buttons, but I don't think they made them directly. They didn't design them for the piece. Except for this one. This one definitely was made for the Schiaparelli, this evening jacket. It's the buttons that make this piece. Although, frankly, I don't really think those buttons are usable. Can you imagine trying to put those buttons through those buttonholes? Okay. So these are really just buttons in name only, but they're pretty fabulous. I thought it was Eliza Shopler. Is it Elsa? So buttons also reflect art movements, not just fashion. Well, of course, fashion also reflects art movements. I think it's all sort of related, but buttons reflect the art movements of their time. So Louis XIV preferred stately and reserved classicism during his reign, while the rest of Europe's art and architecture evolved into the lavish and dramatic Baroque style. So after his death, France seemed to celebrate, and the Rococo period went bonkers. It says went born, but really it went bonkers. Rococo is the age of Fragonard, Boucher, and they're colorful, and scenes were full of elegance, ornament, pastels, movement, and you see that in the buttons. There's the neoclassical period. And some of the buttons, including that Wedgwood that show up with the neoclassical. So they're very Greek looking in theory. Gothic revival. And some Gothic revival buttons. They definitely look like windows, stained glass windows. Look at that one in the center, Rochelle. That would have just worked so well for your windows. Your what was it? Sun the
Let the light shine in.
yes, let the light shine.
It would.
The Toho Challenge. Here's Art Nouveau. With some Art Nouveau buttons. I'm pretty sure that one down at the bottom right is based off of La Ligue, and then the one above it is Alphonse Mucha. This is one of my very favorite styles is Art Nouveau. And if you ever get a chance to go to the Alphonse Mucha Museum in Prague, I really recommend it. Art Deco. Some Art Deco buttons. So even though buttons weren't as important at this time, you can see that they really reflected the look of the time. Buttons that you see barely scratch the surface. You've got every possible design, every possible idea, almost any kind of technique and material you can think of was used to make buttons. Here's some close-ups of buttons using celluloid. So this one is made to look like ivory. Once again, all of these are celluloids. There you go. What's called a glow bubble. Once again, all celluloid. Mother of pearl. Shell with enamels. And I've got a piece very similar to this in my collection that I love. Now, applied transfer. So plastics, including bakelite and resins. There's some more different types of materials. When Rochelle and I looked at this a couple times ago, we were looking down at the bottom left there at the casein Brooks. We're trying to figure out what it was. And so I went and looked it up. And what that is it's a painting technique on plastic that is very similar to using gouache, which is an opaque watercolor, only casein it doesn't come off afterwards. And Brooks was the name, Rochelle, of it was a husband and wife team. So more techniques and types. And I thought this was funny. Here's what's called a blue book. I thought they only made those for cars. But here's a couple of different books. And of course, Doris told us about a button show that is going on. There's some more books that they recommend. Check out online auctions. We're not going to have any buttons, I don't think, in our fundraiser, unless anybody donates them.
Yeah, so far nobody has yet, but
We should never say never, right?
exactly.
I don't know why I'm so tickled by the idea of having a blue book for buttons. Just
There
cracks me.
you go.
Anyway, buttons will surprise you. And if you have any questions, then write them down because Vicki will be here in January to talk more about buttons. She's going to show you her favorite buttons. She's got a huge collection, so she's going to pull out her favorites. She's going to talk about them, and she's going to answer some questions. So I hope you enjoyed looking at this presentation as much as I enjoyed finding it. And if you have any questions you think I could answer, I'm happy to.
Hell yeah. And so Doris, you've been to how many of the buttons when you were in Czech? Like you said, you went to the one place that was just this old shed filled and filled. But how much buttons versus beads do these factories, are they still making?
Um, Originally in Czech, there was 250 bead factories, both seed bead and pressed. Now they're down to less than 40, 30 or 40 probably. I don't know how many button factories were originally out there. Now there's only 2 or 3.
Wow. And Doris, weren't a lot of the people, at least the one factory that we went to, where the workers were really had their own kilns and were working from home?
Yeah, the 95+% of all beads and buttons produced in Czech are done as a cottage industry in the backyard building or in the barn or in the basement or in the back room. I've seen faceting done in the basement. I've seen beads pressed in the barn. I've seen buttons in a little 10 by 20 building. It's, yeah, a lot of it is all cottage industry and very little of it. The seed beads are done in what you would consider a factory. What here in the United States we would, consider a huge factory building. The seed beads are done in that kind of a building. Most of the other stuff is all very small cottage industry stuff.
Well, and what impressed me about the Czech buttons is that they were hand painted.
Yes, they are. And the Christmas ornaments are, a lot of them are hand painted also.
Pretty cool. Do you have a favorite button that you collected, Doris?
I like all of the Czech ones. I got one in one of the estates I bought that's a double-sided so that it like fits through it's loose. It's not attached to the garment. It fits through, there's holes on both pieces that you're buttoning together. And so there's a button, and then a narrow shaft. And so it just kind of fits through both holes on both sides of the garment.
Wow.
And I'd never seen one like that before.
I've seen garments that have 2 holes and I wondered how you closed them. So
Mhm.
that's,
Yeah.
I know that Nancy collects ones, she maybe calls them whistlers. They have 2 holes on one side of the button and 1 hole on the other.
Yeah. That's a whistle button.
Whistle button.
Whistler or whistle, something like that. And if you blow through it, they do make noise.
ah, that's cool.
Well, I have one, sorry. I have one final thing to show you guys. And that is that I do have a button mold.
Oh, my.
Checked. Mine is Italian. And what you do is it's a lampwork mold. You put the wire in here that's going to become the I think I put that you put
The
the
shape.
that's going to become the shank, and then you drop hot glass in there and you smash it together, and it does a little bellflower with out. You can probably see that it flower shape. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it makes lovely little bellflower shaped buttons.
That's so
Here's
cool.
what the old ones look like.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
here.
But
Oh, wow.
as I said, mine is not Czech. Mine is.
Let's see, Doris, show again.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, my.
So hers works the same way in that you go in glass, you heat up some glass, and you just drop it right in there.
This one is actually, I think, made for a cab, but the button ones work the same way.
Usually the ones for the buttons either have a hole in them that you can put them the wire, or the shank is actually built into the mold itself.
Yeah, some of them have just do holes like for the beads. because they have a glass shank. Some of them have um, where you can put the metal shank in there and press it, or just a hole so that you can glue the metal shank in later.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Right.
Yeah, but they all look like that.
Yep. Look at that. Yeah, hers looks much more, but like it's gonna, hers is gonna, mine is much prettier. Mine works beautifully, but it's like be thrown around in a hot shop. Great. Well, thank you guys for hanging with me. I was so excited to find that presentation. I was so excited that you guys were okay with my sharing it with you, and I hope you have a great evening.
That's
Thank you.
fabulous, Anna.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thing was not me. That was all. I have to say it one more time. And that was from the National Button System.
But it was nice that you shared and you did some little bit of research too, so you added extra information, so that we definitely appreciate it.
I wanted to make sure that, you know, it sounded a little bit like I knew what was going on.
Well, we totally appreciate you and everyone joining us tonight. And we hope to see you at our Let's Be Live, and that's a Zoom or Facebook only. So really encourage people to join through Zoom. And that it's free for everyone for our Saturday Let's Be Live. So tell your friends. It's a way to get people into our bead society a little bit more. And didn't you say we're up to like 185 members now?
I think I counted 181.
Yeah, so we're really growing and growing. So remind everybody how much fun we have, and hopefully they'll want to join the party too. And so we look forward to seeing you. So join us once again. If you want the Fox project, if you want to join us in that, this is the second Fox that's starting. The first one is going to whoops, here we go. The first one is gonna be getting, you know, really finished off soon. We're gonna send the first one here off to Rita to finish working on that. And then the second one here is now going to Julie Fletcher. So when she's done, then they'll be going on and off to more and more people. So if you want to be part of the Fox project, then message to Hannah and we'll get you added to the list.
Absolutely.
So-
I think that first one we can still add side pieces to. So I think there's more. So I think
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we'll be able to, you know, once we get it finished in and filled in, cut out all sorts of fun edging and ropes and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's not over till it's over.
absolutely you'll be able to figure out which of the two that you want to do.
Yep.
Be really super fun. So
Super groovy. And so I'm gonna stop recording so we don't forget.
Yes, please.